When we met again, Cole didn't recognize me. I clung to him just like I used to, calling him master. Cole would just say coldly, "Be a good boy or I'll throw you out." I was terrified of being thrown out, so I never made a sound, even when it hurt. Until the day I took it upon myself to drink the wine someone offered him. Cole threw me out of the house. "Get lost," he snarled. I obeyed and walked for a very long time. So long that the poison started to take effect. Blood began to trickle from my nose and mouth. Only then did I hide in a corner. I sent him a message. "The wine was poisoned. Be careful." Cole replied, "Oh, really? Then why aren't you dead yet?" "I'm about to be. If I die, then you'll believe me, won't you?" My insides were on fire. It hurt more than that time I secretly ate chocolate. The tunnel on the winding mountain road was long and dark. I didn't have the strength to keep walking. Slowly, I ducked into a small maintenance room carved into the tunnel wall. It was dark and cramped inside, filled with electrical boxes and tools. I curled up in a corner. I tried to wipe my face with my sleeve. Since I was still not very good at being human, I just got my sleeve soaked. But the more I wiped, the more blood smeared across my face. That glass of wine really was poisoned. I took out my phone. My fingers fumbled with the keys. The wine was poisoned. Be careful. I hit send. A drop of blood landed on the recipient's name, Smudging Cole. I carefully wiped it away. I got it perfectly clean. But no reply came. This time Cole seemed truly angry. Because in front of everyone, I had impulsively snatched the wineglass from his hand and drained it in one gulp. Cole's face had changed instantly. He dragged me outside, his expression terrifying. "You think climbing into my bed gives you the right to do whatever you want?" he'd said, his face a grim mask. "Get lost and think about what you've done." Then he turned and walked back into the hall, without listening to my explanation. I stood there, frozen, staring at the closed door. I tried to figure out the right words and put them in the right order. I smelled it. I finally mumbled, "Too late." There was a strange smell in the wine. I wasn't sure what it was, and I was afraid if I knocked it over, that man would just pour you another glass. "That's why I drank it for you. I didn't mean to make you angry." The door never opened again. I remembered Cole's words. I decided to obey his command first. Get lost. Go somewhere far away. Then I'd figure out how to explain it to him. Back when I was a puppy, I would occasionally make Cole angry too. But he could never bring himself to be this harsh with me back then. A gentle tap on my nose was the extent of my punishment. He would still secretly open a can of food for me. He'd let me sleep by his bed, so he could cover me with a blanket if I kicked it off in the middle of the night. So I thought to myself, just a little while longer. Cole will cool down in a little while, and then I can go back to his side. I'll protect him and I'll make him believe that I really am his puppy, now a dog person. His dog person. My phone suddenly buzzed twice. It was a reply from Cole. The pain made my hands tremble. I jabbed at the screen frantically, but all I saw was, "The wine was poisoned? Then why aren't you dead yet?" "I'm about to be." I was going to reply with those honest, serious words, but my vision suddenly failed, leaving only a faint sense of light. I couldn't type a single letter. Cole still seems angry, I thought sadly. When is he going to come find me? If he doesn't hurry, feels like he's going to be too late. As I drifted into unconsciousness, a bright light shot in from the entrance. It was like someone was approaching. I felt my heartbeat grow heavy. Part of me was hopeful, imagining I might see Cole one last time before I died. But another part of me was anxious, worried he'd be angry that I hadn't gotten far enough away, or that I was so dirty. The bright light flashed past. No one came. I closed my eyes. When I opened them again, I was surprised to find that I could see clearly. The phone vibrated. A new message from Cole appeared. "Why aren't you answering? Playing dead? Fine. Then don't ever come back." "I'm not playing dead." I scrambled to unlock the screen, but I couldn't. The fingerprint sensor wouldn't work. My fingertips felt strangely intangible, unable to make contact. I stood up and turned around. I saw my own body, still curled in the corner. Face smeared with blood, eyes peacefully closed. as if I had just fallen asleep. I'm not playing dead. I thought to myself. It seems I'm already dead. All the physical pain was gone. Only my heart still felt like it was being squeezed tight. I used to get this feeling whenever Cole left me home alone. The only thing that helped was sitting as close to the door as possible. The moment I heard his footsteps and the sound of the key in the lock, it would vanish. Cole would come in, and the first thing he'd do was catch me as I threw myself into his arms. I'd bury my head in the crook of his neck. What took you so long to come back?
Ide mumbla.
Cole would let out a low laugh, a little resigned. It's been less than 2 hours, he'd whisper. Riley, why are you so clingy? Just like a little puppy? Because I really am your puppy. Cole didn't believe me. He'd carry me to the sofa and shut my clumsy, babbling mouth with a kiss. A romance movie would be playing on the TV. The male lead, full of devotion, would whisper to the female lead, I miss you, even when you're right in front of me. I couldn't speak. I just had the hazy realization that I was always missing Cole. From the first day I ever saw him, it had never stopped. My thoughts were still lost in the memory. I drifted out of the small room in a daze and found myself instantly at the entrance of Cole's hilltop mansion. Guests were leaving one by one, getting into their cars. The heavy-set man who had offered Cole the poisoned wine was the last to leave, his expression grave. Don't let him get away. I moved to block his path, but watched helplessly as he passed right through my body and drove off. Cole, what if he drank the poison after I left? I floated into the mansion's grand hall. I saw Cole at once. He was standing by the floor-to-ceiling windows, dressed in a custom-tailored suit. He was surrounded by several assistants and his butler, looking tall, powerful, healthy, and perfect. It seemed that even without me to protect him, his life would go on just as safely and smoothly as ever. I felt a sense of relief. Then I heard the old butler say to Cole, Mr. Cole, are you sure you don't want to send someone to look for Riley? He drank that wine. It doesn't seem safe for him to be out there alone. The night outside the window was pitch black. Cole scoffed. He won't have gone far. He gets separation anxiety if he's away from me for more than 2 hours. He's definitely hiding somewhere near the mansion, just waiting for me to come out and find him. Cole turned and headed upstairs without a backward glance. None of you are to go looking for him. Let this be a lesson to him. He'll come knocking on the door when he figures out what he did wrong. I'm not coming back to knock on your door, I said to Cole's retreating back. And I wasn't hiding nearby, because I was being obedient. I went somewhere very far away, so far that you'll never find me again. My spirit followed Cole upstairs and into his study. He clicked open his laptop. The screen's light immediately illuminated his dark eyes. Reflected in them was a photo of a young golden retriever. It was me, or more accurately, me as a puppy. I was 3 months old when I first met Cole. Back then, he wasn't the tall, mature man he was now. He was just a silent, gloomy 8-year-old boy. I stood up on my hind legs, pressing against the cage. I whined softly, wagging my little tail, trying my best to poke my nose through the bars to get a sniff of him. He let go of his grandmother's hand and took a brave step forward. He gently touched my wet nose with his finger. It was like a perfect connection was made. I immediately stuck out my tongue happily, sat down with a huff, and stared at him with wide eyes. I want this one. Little Cole pointed at me, his voice steady and certain. The manager of the therapy dog center forced a smile. But this one is too young. He hasn't passed his training tests yet. Cole was strong-willed and insisted. And so, from that day on, a therapy dog who hadn't passed his tests came to live by Cole's side. He named me Riley. My purpose was to comfort, soothe, and heal the post-traumatic stress disorder Cole developed after witnessing his mother's death. But because I loved my little master so much, my incomplete professional training went right out the window. I wasn't calm and steady. I was overly enthusiastic. I often forgot my duties. Every day, I stuck to Cole's heels like a fluffy, beating heart. When Cole had nightmares, I would lick him awake. His sadness and fear would instantly disappear. He'd just frown and say, Riley, you got drool all over my face. I wasn't afraid of him swatting my bottom. I'd burrow into his arms and let out a long sigh. That's right, I'd think silently. It's just drool, not tears. We were almost inseparable. I thought we would be together for many, many years. Until one ordinary summer evening 3 years later. Cole had secretly taken me to the beach to run around, as usual. But we were suddenly ambushed by kidnappers. Riley, run. He used a harsh tone I'd never heard before, ordering me towards safety. He himself picked up a stick and charged straight at the criminals. That was the only time I ever disobeyed his command. The price was a fatal gunshot as I tackled one of the kidnappers. But I didn't regret it at all, because from the moment I met Cole, I had sworn to protect him. I made that my puppy mission. That's just how puppies are. Even if their master hits or scolds them, or doesn't give them food, the moment their master comes near, they can't help but wag their tail and show their soft belly. Cole had never hit or scolded Riley. He just didn't recognize that Riley had become a dog person. So I wasn't mad at him. Every day I saw him again was a happy day. Dog people don't have tails. If I did, it would have been wagging like a propeller every single day. Perhaps because he was missing Riley, Cole's gaze softened as he looked at the computer screen. The phone on his desk suddenly rang. He answered it. Mr. Cole, you asked me to have the wine glass tested for toxins. The lab just sent over the results. I froze, not daring to move. I heard his assistant on the other end of the line say, they did detect a specific substance in the trace amount of wine remaining, but they can't identify the compound yet. They need a little more time. Cole's brow furrowed. He grunted in acknowledgement and hung up the phone. I studied Cole's face, trying to guess why he'd had the glass tested. Was it because he didn't trust the man who offered the toast? Or was it because he believed me just a little? But Cole said nothing. His expression was as unreadable as ever. He went back to reviewing company reports as if nothing had happened. But perhaps there were a lot of problems in the reports. The screen stayed on the second page for a very long time without scrolling. Cole finally stirred, turning to look out the window. Something seemed to displease him. His smooth brow furrowed again. Impulsive, he said suddenly. As I always did, I was sitting in the chair on the other side of his desk. I wasn't being impulsive, I whispered. It's because a dog person's sense of smell is very keen. I smelled something strange in the wine. The moment Cole turned his head back, his gaze stopped. My heart pounded violently in my chest. Could it be? Did he hear what I said? But a second later, I realized he wasn't looking at me. He was looking at the picture book in front of me. A dog person is an adult male in body, but his mind lacks the knowledge a normal human should have. I could understand and speak many words, but I couldn't read them all, let alone spell them. Cole had bought me lots of picture books so I could read them while he worked. He picked up my favorite one, the one I read every night, A Walk in the Park with a Puppy. He opened it and saw the name I had written on the title page. The name Riley was written with excessive neatness, a kind of earnest childishness. Cole didn't seem to notice. His brow quickly relaxed, and even the corners of his lips turned up slightly. Cole flipped through the pages one by one until he reached the end of the story. The little boy finally brings his puppy to the park. They play together in the sunset. He also saw that above the little boy's head, I had written Cole's name. In the blank space next to it, I had written, Riley likes going to the park, but he likes going to the beach with Cole more. Cole's fingers suddenly went rigid. He stared at the sentence, reading it aloud under his breath. Riley likes going to the beach with Cole more? Then he muttered to himself, but I've never taken you to the beach. Cole's eyes sharpened as if he'd suddenly remembered something. I shot up from my chair and went to him. The first time I saw you after I became human. I told you I was Riley, I said urgently. You finally believe me now, don't you? Of course, Cole didn't answer me. He was silent for a long time, seemingly lost in memory. Actually, becoming a dog person wasn't an accident. Every dog who sacrifices themselves to protect their master gets one chance to become human. A dog person retains the memories and keen sense of smell from their time as a dog, making it easier to find their former master. because Cole was busier than most people and was always driven everywhere. Finding him was incredibly difficult. When I ran out from the side of the road to flag him down, I was hit by his car and thrown several feet. When I woke up in the hospital, Cole asked me who I was. I looked at his face and realized he was no longer the 8-year-old boy who was afraid of the dark. The Cole before me was tall and strong, a commanding adult who could handle anything. "I'm Riley," I said quietly, my human speech still clumsy.
I'm.
"Your dog." Cole froze for a second, then his hand shot out and gripped my throat. "How do you know about Riley?" he snarled. "Tell me? Who sent you to get close to me?" I couldn't speak well, and I must have looked a little slow. My answers were disjointed and made no sense. Cole assumed the accident had scrambled my brains and gave up questioning me. He had his people run a thorough background check, but they couldn't find any record of me. He had nowhere to dump me, so he had no choice but to keep me. "Since you say you're my dog, you have to be obedient from now on." Cole brought me home, looked down at me, and threatened coldly, "Disobey me, and I'll throw you out." "Don't throw me out." I remember shaking my head and saying, "Don't throw me out. You're the only person I know in this world. You're all I have." Cole thought I was foolish and shameless. He couldn't understand me, just as no one can truly understand a dog. The human world is vast, but a dog's world is very small. Once Cole stood inside it, there was no room for anything else. To be able to save Cole one more time, I still felt lucky, but it seemed he had thrown me out after all. The ringing of the phone suddenly broke through my memories. Cole answered it, his voice gentle. "Grandma, why are you still awake?" The voice on the other end was warm and kind. I was about to sleep, but I suddenly started missing Riley. He's the only one who will patiently sit with me and do nothing, just look at the flowers and listen to music. That boy is so sweet and quiet. His personality is just like that little puppy you used to have, and they even have the same name. Grandma gave him an order with a touch of childlike petulance. "I don't care. Cole, you have to bring Riley to see me tomorrow." Cole bent his knuckles and rubbed his brow. "He's not that sweet," he said. "He caused trouble at my dinner party today. I'm punishing him." "Oh dear," Grandma said, concerned. "Just scold him a little. Be careful he doesn't hold a grudge and decide he doesn't want you anymore." Cole let out a short, derisive laugh. "Not a chance. Don't worry about that. He'll probably be back in half an hour, begging me for forgiveness." Before Grandma could say anything else, another call came in. "Grandma, you get some sleep," Cole soothed. "I'll bring Riley over tomorrow." She hung up. His assistant's voice came through. "Mr. Cole, the head of the lab just called." Cole sat up a little straighter. He cut him off. "Are the test results on the wine ready?" "Not yet," the assistant replied. "They're short on one of the reagents. The lab director said the results won't be ready until tomorrow morning." Cole let out an almost imperceptible breath. "Understood," he said in a low voice and hung up. Cole's gaze fell on the picture book, and his brow furrowed again. There was a knock on the study door. The butler brought in a bowl of soup to help with sobering up. As the butler set the bowl down, Cole suddenly asked, "When I'm not home, has Riley shown any strange behavior?" The butler frowned in thought for a moment. "There is one thing, but I don't know if it counts. A while back, you bought Riley a phone. When you're not here, he stays in his room studying the apps on it." A few days later, a package was suddenly delivered to the house. Riley didn't open it in front of me, and he asked me not to tell you about it. Cole didn't press further, just said, "I see." He dismissed the butler. He put the picture book back in its place and opened the security camera footage on his computer. He rewound the footage to that morning. Cole had been about to leave for the office, standing in the entryway putting on his overcoat. I slowly walked into the frame, a tuft of hair sticking straight up on my head. I walked up to Cole, wrapped my arms around his waist, and tilted my head up for a kiss. I had wrinkled Cole's coat, but he wasn't angry. He patiently kissed my lips. "Worn out from last night?" he asked softly, looking into my eyes. "Go back and sleep a little more. I have the board of directors over for dinner tonight, so I'll be home early." Both Riley the golden retriever and I loved it when Cole reported his schedule like this. as if such a small promise was enough to show how important I was. On the screen, Cole left the house. I got tired of standing, so I sat on the chair in the entryway to wait for him to come home. The tuft of hair on my head quickly drooped, just like Riley the golden retriever's tail when he was left alone to stare at the closed door. I was about to fall asleep when the butler urged me to go back to my room and rest. I went into the bedroom and didn't reappear until Cole returned. Cole hit pause, staring blankly at the computer screen. He suddenly let out a self-deprecating laugh. Ridiculous, he whispered. How could that be possible? How could it be possible? How could a person be transformed from a dog? Right? It was indeed hard to accept. So Cole, finding it both ridiculous and suspicious, continued his search. He walked into the bedroom and scanned the room, apparently looking for that strange package. I thought I had hidden it well, but he found it almost immediately. Cole finally discovered the plush toy under my pillow. It was a palm-sized orange carrot with a cute cartoon face embroidered on it. It was just an ordinary stuffed toy, but it made Cole's pupils tremble, and the color drained from his face. Could it be that he also remembered? That this was the golden retriever Riley's favorite toy? It felt like a secretly buried bone had just been dug up. I looked at the carrot toy in Cole's hand and suddenly felt a wave of sadness. I remembered my first day back in this house. That day, in the master bedroom, I saw the collar I used to wear as a puppy. Cole had preserved it preciously under a glass dome on a velvet-lined display. The gold tag on the collar, finely engraved with the name Riley, was still shining brightly. I leaned against the glass, looking at it. Cole pulled me away. "Don't touch it," he said sternly. I stared at it longingly. "Mine," I whispered. "You remember this," Cole warned, enunciating every word. "In this house, nothing belongs to you." Because I was afraid of being found out and hearing more humiliating words like that, I hid the carrot I'd bought online under my pillow. I only took it out to play with after Cole left the house, or reached out to secretly touch it before falling asleep. My previous carrot toy had been washed away by the waves when we were playing at the beach. Riley the little golden retriever had run around whining, leaving strings of fluffy paw prints on the wet sand. A young Cole had comforted him. "It's okay. I'll buy you a new one when we get back." But Riley the little golden retriever never made it back that day. So Cole never bought a new carrot toy. How is this possible? Cole stared down at the toy, his voice filled with hesitation and confusion. It was clearly washed away by the sea. I hovered beside him, tilting my head to study his expression. I thought Cole was finally going to believe what I'd been telling him. Silly, what other reason could there be? I told him, feeling quite proud. Of course it's because I came back. But Cole's thoughts didn't seem to be going in that direction at all. Instead, he took the toy and went downstairs to confront the butler. "Did you show Riley photos of me as a child? How else would he know about this toy?" The butler was stunned. "No, Mr. Cole," he replied. When he saw the carrot toy, his eyes widened. "Isn't that—" Cole didn't wait for him to finish. He strode directly to the front door, opened it, and shouted into the darkness. "Come out." Outside was the cool air of an early autumn night. A gentle breeze rustled through the estate's silent and peaceful grounds. There wasn't a soul in sight. Cole stood there for a long time, but I didn't appear. His anger flared. "Riley, I'll count to 3. If you don't come out, I'm burning your toy." "No." I rushed in front of Cole, crying and begging him not to. But it was useless. I could only watch as he brought a lighter toward the toy. "I hate you," I suddenly shrieked. "Cole, I hate you." Cole's hand froze. He didn't light it. The old butler said urgently, "Mr. Cole, it seems Riley really isn't nearby. You should send someone to look for him." Cole's face was grim, the line of his jaw tightening. He pulled out his phone and dialed my number. The regular ring, echoed from the phone, hollow and long. I stood opposite Cole, slowly backing away. I said silently, "No one's going to answer. Cole, I'm already dead. I'm never coming back." But the next second, the call was answered. Cole's voice was ice. "Riley, can't keep up the obedient act anymore? You have 30 minutes to get back here. I have something very important to ask you. Otherwise, don't ever come back." A few sounds of cars speeding past came from the other end of the line. Then the call abruptly ended. Cole had never been hung up on before. His expression darkened further. He said to the butler, "Call the gatehouse. Ask them if Riley left the estate." A few moments later, the butler hurried back, his voice urgent. The guard said he saw Riley walk out the main gate 2 hours ago. He also said Riley wasn't walking fast, that he was clutching his stomach, like he wasn't feeling well. Cole, who had started walking back to his room, stopped dead in his tracks. He turned, grabbed the car keys from the entryway table, and headed for the garage. As he walked, he made a call. "Have someone check the road surveillance. See where he is now." And Cole said, "Getting into the car and starting the engine, find out what reagent the lab is missing. Get it for them immediately. I want those results in an hour." I desperately wanted to go back to that room in the tunnel to see who had my phone. Was it a tunnel worker? If they saw my body, they would call the police, right? But it was as if I was being pulled by some invisible force, forced to stay by Cole's side. The black Maybach sped through the night. A moment later, his assistant called back. "Mr. Cole, the cameras show Mr. Riley walking along the mountain road. He seems to be in a lot of pain, walking slower and slower. After he entered the tunnel, he never came out." Cole slammed on the brakes, his brow furrowed. He spun the steering wheel, making a sharp U-turn. "Which tunnel?" "There's only one entrance to the mountain tunnel, but it branches off quickly in different directions," his assistant said. "We can't be sure which branch Mr. Riley is in now." "Which one was it?" I couldn't seem to remember either. I had been acting purely on instinct. I think I chose the more familiar direction. "Then search every single one," Cole suddenly roared. But his tone didn't sound angry. Was he worried about me? No, that can't be it. He just wants to ask about the carrot toy, I thought silently. I wasn't important to Cole anymore. Not needed like I was when he was a child. Even if he lost me, it wouldn't have any negative impact on him. Cole accelerated. The phone rang again, cutting through the low growl of the Maybach's engine. "Mr. Cole, we've found Mr. Riley. He's in the tunnel that leads to the beach, but..." The assistant hesitated. "But what?" "But, Mr. Riley, he seems to have passed away." The Maybach drove a few more yards before screeching to a halt in the middle of the road. Everything went silent. The night, the streetlights. Cole and I sat in the car, as if we were in a small universe where time had stopped. "Impossible," I heard Cole say, his voice hoarse. "He just answered my call." The assistant said, "Mr. Riley's phone isn't with him. There are a lot of homeless people in the area. It's possible someone took it and answered by mistake." The assistant's words were clear, but Cole seemed not to have heard them at all. He repeated, "He just answered my call." The assistant was at a loss for words, but finally said, "I've called an ambulance. Mr. Cole, you should get here as soon as you can." Cole drove erratically, speeding up and slowing down. As he entered the tunnel, he got a call from the head of the lab. "Mr. Cole, the test results are in. We found a small amount of ricin in the wine. This toxin has a very faint odor, easily masked by the smell of alcohol, and even a trace amount can be fatal. If poisoned, the symptoms are often delayed. Death occurs several hours after exposure." Cole listened to the call while mechanically parking the car and getting out. His assistant rushed up to him, but Cole walked past him, his face expressionless. The door to the maintenance room was narrow and ajar. Cole strode over and pushed it open. I was still in the same sleeping position, curled up next to a jumble of tools. My face was a ghastly white, which made my drooping eyelashes look very dark and the blood on my face a startling crimson red. Cole stared at me, stunned. He suddenly cut off the person on the phone. "What's the antidote?" "There is currently no antidote," the voice on the other end said regretfully. "You're lying." Cole suddenly screamed into the phone. "There has to be one." He furiously threw the phone to the ground. Then he picked up my body and ran toward the road. His assistant grabbed him. "Mr. Cole, calm down. The ambulance will be here any second." Cole ignored him, dodging a honking car. The sound of a siren grew closer. Cole ran for 100 yards, carrying me, and flagged down the ambulance. "Save him," Cole yelled, carrying me onto the vehicle. He told the paramedics he's been poisoned with ricin. You have to save him. The doctors and nurses surrounded me, monitoring my vital signs. Cole collapsed into a nearby seat, talking to himself. He needs his stomach pumped. Then he added, that's not enough. The toxin has entered his bloodstream. He needs dialysis. Did you bring a dialysis machine? A few minutes later, the paramedics stopped what they were doing. Cole's expression was cold, his voice dangerously low. Why have you stopped trying to save him? If anything happens to him, I'll have your entire hospital shut down. A doctor spoke, his face grim. I'm very sorry, but the patient has already passed away. Any further attempts at resuscitation would only cause unnecessary damage to the body. The ambulance drove through the tunnel. As it emerged, the sky was already beginning to lighten. Cole looked up and saw the gray, somber sea outside the window. So, the tunnel I had chosen led to the beach. The same beach Cole used to take me to so often. The heavy waves of the ocean were reflected in Cole's eyes. He didn't blink. He just said very quietly, so Riley wanted to come to the beach. Cole got up to hold me. He rested my upper body against his chest. We swayed with the jolting of the ambulance. Cole was silent for a moment. When he spoke again, his voice was so hoarse it was unrecognizable. You've been there so many times, and you still wanted to go? Took me a few seconds to react. I realized Cole now completely believed I was a dog person. But I felt no joy or excitement, because it didn't matter anymore. It was all too late. I had actually asked Cole to take me to the beach a long time ago, but Cole was very resistant. The moment I mentioned it, his face would darken. The beach is too dangerous, he'd say sternly. We can't. How awful. My master was no longer afraid of the dark, but now he was afraid of the beach. I missed the feeling of going to the beach with him, and I didn't want the beach to become a nightmare for him. So I asked several more times, but was rejected each time. Perhaps he couldn't bear to see my disappointment. The last time I asked, Cole finally relented. Give me some time. I'll take you. After he said that, he held me tight. It reminded me of the Cole who used to be afraid of the dark. I felt I should be as patient with him as I used to be, and accept all his requests. So I hugged him back gently, whispered his name, and said the words I'd always wanted to say as a puppy but couldn't. I love you so much. A puppy's love for its master is indelible, carried over into the dog person's heart. Every moment I craved a response. In the ambulance, Cole pressed his forehead into the hollow of my neck. His breathing became erratic, deep and shallow. If his golden retriever therapy dog were still here, he would have licked his tears dry and patted his leg with his tail. He would have told him, "Don't be sad. You still have me. Your dog." A dog's life isn't long. I had dreamed of staying by my master's side forever. But even after becoming human, it seems that wasn't possible. The ambulance took us to the hospital. My body was temporarily placed in a small, private room. Cole stood by my bed and pressed the carrot toy into my palm. Riley. Cole's face was pale, his voice very soft. I'm sorry. I didn't recognize you. Hearing him apologize, shouldn't I feel happy? Why did my heart feel like it was being torn apart, so painful it made me want to cry? Cole stood motionless. The fluorescent light overhead cast a shadow under his eyes. He continued, "How did you find me? By my scent?" Cole seemed to remember what Riley the golden retriever looked like. The corners of his lips curved into a faint smile, but the tears streaming down his cheeks and onto his lips kept it from blooming. When you came back, did you wait for me at the beach for a long time? I stared at him in shock. I remembered that I had indeed waited for him at the beach for several days at first. But I'm a coward, Cole said in anguish. After you were gone, I never went back to the beach. He added, Riley, I regret not taking you to the beach again. Give me one more chance. Okay? Come back to me, and I promise I'll recognize you right away. Cole's voice was full of hope, but his eyes, fixed on the person on the bed, were filled with sorrow. There are no more chances. Cole, this time I'm really leaving. There was a gentle knock on the door. It was his assistant with the police. Mr. Cole, I've explained everything about Mr. Riley's poisoning to the police. The officer in charge of the case would like to see you to confirm some details. Cole didn't turn to look at them. Instead, he spoke to the person on the bed. Riley, don't be scared. I'll be right back. The questioning was brief. The officer took a sealed bag out of his pocket. A homeless man was looking for a place to sleep in the maintenance room and found the victim. He stole his phone. We've recovered it and we're returning it to you now. Thank you, Cole said, taking the phone. After the assistant led the police away, Cole remained standing in the same spot. He took out the phone and lit up the screen, revealing a photo of himself. It was a candid shot. Cole was sitting at his desk in the study, his eyes lowered to a document in his hands. The computer screen cast a soft light on his profile, highlighting his strong brow and straight nose, the lines of his face sharp and defined. I was discovered by Cole right after I took that picture. He scolded me for not studying seriously and forbade me from bringing my phone into the study ever again. I had just smiled and said okay, begging him not to be angry. A drop of water fell onto the phone screen. When Cole wiped it away, his finger accidentally swiped the screen to the search engine page. My previous search history popped up all at once. What to do if my master doesn't recognize me as his dog? How do humans make other humans they like happy? Should I lick their fingers too? Why is my master so mean to me? Does it mean he doesn't like me? The last entry was, what to do if my master doesn't like me anymore? Cole stared at those few lines of text for a long time. Then more and more drops of water fell onto the phone screen. I do like you, he said suddenly. If I didn't like you, why would I have brought you home? I thought you liked to drink, that you wanted to drink, that's why you grabbed my glass. I suddenly remembered. A few months ago, I had accidentally drunk some of the vodka Cole had left on the table. I stumbled around the room, dazed, constantly looking for him. Cole opened the door just in time to see me tumble down the stairs. He was terrified, holding me and telling the butler to call an ambulance. But I just giggled foolishly in his arms. I said drinking was great, that it didn't even hurt when you fell down. I wanted to drink more in the future. Cole was angry for a long time after that. He moved all the alcohol in the house to the wine cellar and didn't speak to me for a whole week. The wine was from our home. I never thought there would be poison in it. Cole doubled over as if in immense pain, clutching my phone and sobbing. Why didn't I believe you? If only I had believed you from the start, how much better would things have been? He whispered, his voice choked with pain. Why can't I ever protect you? It should have been me from the very beginning. It's me who should be dead. Golden sunlight streamed in through the hospital corridor window, heralding the start of a new day. But Cole still sat with his head down, huddled in a corner. He was steeped in a darkness of grief, as if he were permanently stuck in yesterday. His assistant came over and updated him on the case. He said the shareholder who had poisoned the wine had fled to escape justice, and the police were in hot pursuit. He also urged Cole to take care of his health and go home to rest. Cole remained silent. His spine was no longer a proud, straight line but a weak, defeated curve. Not long after the assistant left, someone else approached Cole. Leave me alone, he said, his face blank. But the person replied, I'm not here for you. I'm here to pick up Riley. Cole's head snapped up, revealing bloodshot eyes. Who are you? He snarled, grabbing the person's sleeve, his teeth clenched. He's mine. The person gently brushed their arm, and Cole was thrown aside, his hand losing its grip. I am the administrator for dog people, the man said, glancing at Cole. Riley doesn't belong to any human. He's an angel now. I've come to collect his soul and ask him whether he'd prefer to be a person or a dog in his next life. Cole was stunned, but he quickly believed him. He asked, Riley's soul, is it here? The dog person administrator met my gaze and nodded. A flicker of light returned to Cole's dull eyes. He called my name softly. Riley, are you here? Are you listening? He looked around the room and said, will you come back? As a person or a dog, it doesn't matter. Just come back to me. I'm begging you. The room was silent. Cole asked the administrator anxiously, what did he say? Tell me. I thought for a few seconds and said something to the administrator. The administrator then replied to Cole. He says he wants to be a dog. Cole smiled, and tears fell, splashing onto the floor. He said, "I'll find you. This time, let me find you. Okay?" The focus of Cole's life changed dramatically. For months, he dedicated himself to finding a puppy named Riley. He found many. He kept them all at his estate, personally caring for each one. Cole's estate was large enough, and the puppies were very well looked after. Cole used to be a workaholic, strict with his employees. Now, he cared very little for work and even abolished many company rules, such as allowing employees to bring their pets to the office. If a pet got sick, the owner could take paid leave to care for it. The board of directors complained a lot about this. Even his grandmother found it strange. Cole hid the news of Riley's death from her, lying that Riley had gone to study abroad and would be back in a few years. Grandma missed Riley, but she still said kindly, "School is good. Young people should go to school. Our Riley is so smart. I'm sure he'll do very well." After that, Grandma fell silent, just rocking back and forth in her chair. The sunlight illuminated her white hair, making her seem to have aged years in an instant. Cole hid the pain in his eyes, crouching beside her and promising to visit her more often so she wouldn't be sad. Later, Cole adopted many more dogs, strays, abandoned ones. He even brought a gentle one to his grandmother's house to keep her company, look at the flowers, and listen to music with her. Grandma was much happier. She asked Cole, "What's his name?" Cole smiled and said, "He doesn't have a name yet. Why don't you give him one?" He knew it wasn't Riley. None of the puppies at his home were. He still hadn't found Riley. Was Riley still angry? Or maybe Cole thought he just hadn't looked hard enough. So he kept searching. He searched for many years, until, just before his grandmother passed away, she called him to her side. "Riley, it was Riley, wasn't it?" Grandma looked at him, asking weakly, "They're both gone now, aren't they?" Cole didn't nod, but tears streamed down his face. Grandma understood at once. "Riley was a good dog, and a good boy," she said slowly. "He couldn't bear for us to be apart, and he couldn't bear for us to be sad." Finally, Grandma's voice was barely a whisper. She said, "Cole, my dear, Riley always left you with hope. It's like he saved you one more time." Cole stood there, stunned, as if he were frozen, as if he'd been thinking for a very long time. Afterward, he calmly handled his grandmother's funeral arrangements. He sold his company shares and donated all the money to a reputable stray animal aid organization. Finally, he went to the beach, carrying Riley's ashes and a birthday cake. The sun hung on the horizon, blanketing the sea and the sand in a golden velvet. Cole sat on the sand, in the fading light. He took out the cake and set it down. He inserted a candle and lit it. A small flame flickered in the gentle sea breeze, looking quite lovely. Cole watched it quietly for a while. Suddenly, he said, "You never turned into a puppy at all, did you?" He added, "Was it a lie because you don't like me anymore? Or were you afraid I would die with you?" He answered his own question. Probably a bit of both. Cole couldn't help but think about the past. He remembered Riley the golden retriever running on the beach with him. He remembered the sound of him panting, tongue lolling out, and his little pink paws covered in sand. He remembered Riley the dog person, his face tilted up, begging him to bring him to the beach. His eyes were like a puppy's, too, round with a slight droop at the corners. His pupils were dark and bright. When he looked at him, they seemed to sparkle. The sun sank into the sea. Cole looked at the darkening world and had a brief dream. He dreamed that Riley the golden retriever hadn't died saving him and was still by his side. He dreamed that, at the dinner party, Riley hadn't drunk that glass of wine. He dreamed that he had recognized from the very beginning that Riley was Riley. They did all the things they used to love doing together. They would even get a puppy together and bring it to the beach to watch the sunset. But he woke up quickly to find himself in an endless darkness, without the comfort and companionship of his golden retriever Riley. He was on the beach, but the person who had asked to come with him was gone. The carrot toy was never replaced. He had made a promise to his grandmother, but he never brought Riley back to see her. All the promises were left unfulfilled. After an unknown amount of time, Cole stood up, holding Riley's urn. He slowly walked into the sea. When the candle had burned down, the sea and the shore were empty. Not a single person could be seen. Many, many years later, a handsome young man came to the beach. His hair was a natural golden color, which made his skin look very fair. His eyes were large and round, with a slight droop at the corners. When he smiled, he looked innocent and harmless. The sun was about to set, and the crowds were beginning to thin. Just as he was about to leave, he saw the waves push something orange onto the sand in front of him. He walked over and found it was a very cute carrot toy. The young man picked it up, only to realize that a large dog was now squatting beside him. The dog looked like a German shepherd, its coat black and glossy. Its ears stood tall and majestic. Its body was muscular but covered in many scars. The young man seemed a little scared and took a step back. The German shepherd let out a soft whine and lay down obediently on the ground, looking up at him with pleading eyes. The young man was no longer afraid. He held up the carrot toy in his hand, crouched down, and asked, "Is this yours?" The German shepherd lifted its head and looked at the young man's face intently, as if to say, "It's mine." The young man placed the carrot toy at its feet. "Then I'll give it back to you," he said. He stood up and started walking toward the shore. Before he left, he turned to look back at the beach. He saw the German shepherd was still in the same spot, sitting up very straight. It had the toy in its mouth and was also staring intently at the young man, as if it were gazing with longing and reluctance at a lover it had been waiting for a very, very long time.